Hello everyone, I am Mia, born and raised in Virginia. A serene place with tree-lined streets and long rows of houses there. It spent most of my childhood with my parents. My mother was a gentle soul, always smiling at me from early morning. As she prepared breakfast until nightfall in the small kitchen, sheared my father, a man of few words, but great responsibility, worked hard to care for our family. We lived in a small, simple house, but it was filled with love. Everything in my memory was perfect, or at least I thought so. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so I can continue bringing you more fascinating true stories like this one. And don't forget to watch this video till the end, because this story is going to be incredibly interesting. But then when I was only 15, my world suddenly shattered. My mother passed away after a brief and unexpected illness so quickly that I didn't even understand what was happening. The feeling of emptiness grows. I watched my father become lonely in a house that once echoed with laughter. We continued to live together, but we were no longer the family we had been every morning. I went to school, and every night I came home, it was still the same kitchen, the same simple meals. But my mother was no longer there. Each meal included only 2 people. Yet the distance between my father and me felt greater than the space of the house. When I turned 18, my father remarried. It was a shock, even though I knew deep down that he deserved happiness again. His new wife, my stepmother, was a kind and gentle woman. She brought with her a son, Alex, who was a year younger than me. At first it felt strange, as if my life had been turned upside down. Once again, things were no longer the peaceful existence I had known. Initially, I felt awkward trying to connect with my new younger brother, though he had never done anything to make me uncomfortable. He was quiet and, like me, was trying to adapt toward new situation. In the evenings, the whole family would gather in the living room. My dad and stepmother would sit together chatting about work or future plans, while Alex and I exchanged glances filled with confusion, making me lower my head in response. Family meals became opportunities for us to get to know each other better in a strange way. Alex often helped me with food, a small gesture that felt significant. He was always quiet and didn't talk much, but sometimes his glances lingered a little too long. I wondered if I was being too sensitive or if it was simply a younger brother's affection for his new older sister. Yet there was an undeniable tension that neither of us discussed feelings that should have remained purely sisterly, but had become increasingly complicated. There were moments throughout the day when I felt my heart race at his proximity, and I despised that sensation. I loathed the fact that I had started to view him as more than just a brother. One night, I heard light footsteps, and in the hallway, Alex slipped into my room as he often did, and we would have brief conversations before he returned to his own space. But this time he lingered longer than usual, his eyes searching mine as if he wanted to convey something. I was unsure how to respond. The atmosphere between us felt thick and charged. The silence stretched on, and before I could think it through, I nodded slightly, inviting him to stay a little longer. We sat in the darkness to strangers who were inexplicably close. To be honest, I liked Alex quite a bit. He was handsome in a way that caught my attention. Sometimes I wondered if I should feel guilty since he was my brother by name, but those thoughts were fleeting. Pushed aside by the logical reasoning that came with living under the same roof, we slept in separate but closed by rooms on the second floor, while my father and stepmother occupied the first floor. This arrangement sometimes led to awkward situations. Alex and I were both at pivotal stages in our lives. I was a college freshman, and he was a senior in high school, preoccupied with preparing for exams. We were both adjusting to the new rhythm of life, but the tension between us was palpable. On quiet evenings after school, we would sit together on the sofa in the living room, the glow of the TV illuminating our silence as we struggled to find words. The feelings between us were ambiguous, not the typical emotions of siblings. I realized I genuinely liked him. Beyond familial affection, this realization confused me, yet I couldn't deny that my heart raced whenever I saw Alex. It was a peaceful evening like any other when I realized it wouldn't end, the same way my parents had gone on a trip for about 5 days, leaving Alex and me alone at home. Initially, we thought it would be a chance to relax away from adult supervision. That night, we found ourselves in the living room watching a romantic movie that neither of us cared for. Merely filling the time, I had prepared some snacks, including dried squid fruits and a few cans of Sodatown Wind. After a hectic week, the movie began innocently enough. We chatted casually, laughter filling the stillness of the house. But then an unexpected scene arose depicting a couple in a passionate embrace for reasons unknown. We fell silent. The laugh faded, and the space between us became thick with unspoken words. I could feel Alex's gaze on me, and a warm sensation spread through my body. As I sat there holding my soda can, to calm my nerves suddenly without warning, Alex embraced me. His movements were strong, unexpected, and utterly irresistible. His kiss were urgent, as if all the emotions we had suppressed for so long had exploded. Couldn't resist my heart rate based in turmoil, but my body responded differently. We had crossed the line that separated sibling affection in that moment, in the darkness of the quiet room that night. Transformed from a normal evening into something entirely different. It marked a significant turning point, a change that I knew would alter everything that entire night. Alex and I were inseparable, breaking all boundaries. We exchanged few words, everything happening instinctively, a result of what had been suppressed for so long. The closeness we once maintained faded away, replaced by emotions we could no longer control. I vividly remember the feeling of the next morning as the gentle sunlight filtered through the curtains. I lay next to Alex in what should have been my peaceful sleeping space. Everything around me was unchanged. The room was quiet, the light warm, yet something within me had irrevocably shifted. We exchanged few words, sharing glances that seemed to convey a mutual understanding. Our lives would never be the same again in the days that followed. My father and stepmother continued their travels, and we took full advantage of our time together. There was no longer any awkwardness, only a complicated comfort. We lived as if we were a young couple in love, free from the watchful eyes of others. Meals transformed from family gatherings into intimate moments shared only between Alex and me. Each night, we watched movies, talked, and ended our days in the same bed. During this time, I let myself forget reality, choosing to ignore that Alex and I were only siblings in name. We existed as a carefree couple, oblivious to the world around us. Eventually, the day arrived when my parents returned upon entering the house. Everything reverted to normal. Alex and I resumed our roles as siblings, pretending that nothing had occurred, that every intimate moment had merely been a fleeting dream. My parents remained unaware, smiling and discussing their travels, while Alex and I exchanged knowing glances, aware that our secret must remain hidden. In the months that followed, we continued our secret relationship, sneaking moments whenever we could. Those clandestine evenings filled with passion became a routine whenever my parents went to bed early or had to go out. Alex would slip into my room, and we would hold each other as if there had never been a barrier between us during the day. We acted as though everything was normal. Family meals resumed without suspicion, while Alex and I exchanged only fleeting glances. This hidden tension left me breathless. Yet I couldn't stop the guilt gnawed at me, but it wasn't strong enough to make me walk away. I continued to live in secrecy. Every night with Alex became so familiar that I feared I could never escape. I knew I couldn't let this continue, so I discreetly began taking birth control pills, ensuring that no one would discover my actions. I dreaded the potential consequences of our relationship, yet instead of stopping iOS to maintain control, about a year later, Alex graduated and moved to a new city for college. When he left, I knew our relationship would inevitably change, even if I didn't want to admit it. The distance made things harder. No more secret nights, no more quiet moments shared. The physical separation forced us to pause our relationship. Though I often felt nostalgic for our past after graduating, I sought a new path for myself. I applied for a job as an office worker at a digital company. The position was nothing extraordinary, but it offered me stability, a respite from the emotional turmoil I had experienced. That's when I met him, the man who had changed my life forever. He owned a successful hair salon in the city and exuded calmness, confidence, and charm. From our first meeting, I was struck by his strength and kindness. He was unlike anyone I had ever known. Every story he shared, every glance he offered, made me feel safe, something I'd long yearned for. We fell in love quickly. Everything unfolded naturally as if we were destined to find one another before long. We were married, beginning the family life I had always dreamed of. No, we have a child together and life feels more complete than ever. My days with him and our child helped me temporarily forget the painful memories of the past. Although they occasionally resurfaced during moments of weakness, I know I have found a new home, a man worthy of love and respect. However, somewhere in my mind, the memories of Alex and those secret days lingered, refusing to fully fade. I often wondered if I would ever truly forget, but now I have a family to protect, and that is what matters most. Yet a part of me feels guilty towards my husband. He is a wonderful man, always showing me genuine care and affection. But every time I look into his eyes, I feel a heaviness in my heart, as if I am hiding a part of my past that he deserves to know. I grapple with the question of whether I should tell him about my past with Alex. The thought keeps me awake at night, torn between revealing the truth and keeping the secret forever. I fear that if I can confess, he might never look at me the same way again. Everything we have built, the little family I cherish, could crumble due to my admission. On the other hand, living with this secret feels like a burden, weighing me down each day. It makes me feel unworthy of the love he has for me. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I stand at a crossroads, uncertain. Which path is the right one? Perhaps when you hear my story, you will judge me for hurting many people and for the poor decisions I made in the past. But I can only ask you, if you were in my situation, what would you do? Would you choose to confess the truth, knowing it might shatter everything? Or would you choose silence, letting the past sink deep into your memory, hoping it never returns to harm those you love? I hope to receive your advice in the comment section below. If you were in my shoes, what would you choose? Should I share everything and face the consequences? Or should I keep this secret to safeguard what I have? I appreciate any advice, sympathy, or criticism, because truly I find myself at a crossroads, uncertain of the right path forward.